Behind all of the software that...
Can you hear the sound?
Yes.
Okay, so let's check the video together. The topic of this week is loops. We're going to learn about loops. I found a good video that explains loops nice. So let's check it together.
we use on a daily basis, there's a code being run with all sorts of different terms and symbols. Surprisingly, it can often be broken down into three simple programming structures called sequences, selections, and loops. These come together to form the most basic instructions and algorithms for all sorts of software. A sequence is a series of actions that are completed in a specific order. Action 1 is performed, then action 2, then 3, etc. until all of the actions in the sequence have been carried out. A sequence we do every day is a morning routine. You might wake up, drink some water, take a shower, eat breakfast, and so on. Everyone's routine is different, but they're all made up of a sequence of various actions. Selections are a bit different. Instead of following a specific order of events, they ask a question in order to figure out which path to take next. Let's say you go to brush your teeth and you find that you're out of toothpaste. You'd then ask, do I have any more toothpaste? If the answer is no, then you would add it to your shopping list. But if the answer is yes, then you would just use the toothpaste. This is really all a selection is doing, answering a question based on what it finds. The third programming structure is a loop. Like selections, loops also ask questions. However, the difference is they ask the same question over and over and over again until a certain task is complete. For example, take the act of hammering a nail. Even though you may not realize it, you're constantly asking yourself, is the nail all the way in? When the answer is no, you hammer the nail again. You continue to repeat this question until the answer is yes, and then you stop. Loops allow programmers to efficiently code repetitive tasks instead of having to write the same actions over and over again. These three programming structures may seem fairly simple on their own, but when combined, they can create some pretty complex software.
GCF.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, so can you tell me what's the key of a loop?
Key.
I think Maggie has attended. Maggie Kraya. Maggie, are you there? Okay, so we're talking about the loops. As you heard in the video, loops are used to repeat some sequences, to repeat some statement or statements. When you repeat these statements, there is a condition. You ask a question, for example, and if this question is not wrong, if this question is correct, then you get in the loop. Okay, like you know the in the video there was a hammer example. Was the nail in? So if the nail is in, then stop. But if the nail is not in, continue. So the condition there is enter the loop if the nail is not in. But if the nail is in, all in, then stop the loop and get out of the loop. So we have some examples. I'm going to start with the first example. And we have also three structures before we start the loops. There are three structures. They are while, do while, and for. We'll start with while. So let me type the example, the exercise, and talk over it. So let's say we have a variable called counter, and its value is 0. And then I'm going to start the while structure. While counter is smaller than 5. Okay, so this is the condition or the question that is asked, and if the question's answer is correct, then we're going to enter the loop. Where the loop starts and where the loop ends? Well, exactly here. We have the curly brackets after exactly the while statement. We open the curly brackets and we close it. This is the limit of the structure of while loop. Okay, so if I enter here again, I'm going to see that this area is the repetition area. This area will be repeated again and again if the condition is true. But whenever the condition is false, then it's going to get out of the loop. So I'm going to write here system.out.println. Hello. Okay, can you tell me what's going to happen here?
It will print hello.
It will print hello. How many times?
Infinitely.
4.
4 times. Well,
Unlimited.
the condition is if counter value is smaller than 5, then get in the loop. Go. It means go. But if the counter is not smaller than 5, stop. So let's make it with an analyze table. Okay. Let me copy this. All right, let's start from here. So at line number 1, what do we have? We are going to make the analyze of the codes. These area are the topics. We have the explanation in the first column, the explanation of the line. These are line numbers. I'm going to write line numbers here, and we're going to examine what is happening in the code. And here we're going to see the value of variable counter in this column, and here we're going to find out the result of expression counter smaller than 3. But here we did it counter smaller than 5. Okay, let's do it 3, not to make it long. And then we have output. Okay, so let's get started. We have we have class main. We can make it also public class main in the first line. So nothing is happening in the first line, right? Then in the second line, public static void main, we have the starting of the main method. So nothing happens in the second line also. At line number 3, we have int counter equals 0. So at line number 3, we create the counter variable and its value becomes 0. So here we're going to write 0. At line number 3, counter is 0. And then what do we have? While counter is smaller than 3. So we're going to check here this expression, counter smaller than 3, at line number 4, exactly. Here, the counter variable is not changed at line number 4. There is no any output, but we check the counter smaller than 3 expression here. Is it smaller than 3? Yes. So it's going to return true. and it means go, right? What does it mean, go? Get in the loop. Where the loop starts? The loop starts here at line number 4. And where does it end? It ends here at line number 6. So here at line number 4, I write the explanation, beginning of the loop. At line number 7 is end of the loop. So when I come to the 7th line, I will come back to line number 4. Okay, as you can see, at everywhere when I see line number 7, I come back to 4. 7, come back to 4. Why? Because this is a repetition loop. Until when? Until this condition is not satisfied. This condition is false. Okay. So here we say that this expression is true. So we get in the loop. We continue with line number 5. Let me write another statement here so that we can understand better. Done. And with a space here. Okay, we get in the loop at line number 5. We have system out println hello and a space next to it. So I'm going to delete this part. At line number 5, we have an output. We're going to write hello, right? Here's our first output. So I'm going to write it to the last output. In the last output, I'm going to see hello with a space, right? First. So the first output is sent to the last output here. Then we continue with line number 6. At line number 6, what we have? The end of repetition, right? The end of the repetition here. The end of the loop, but why did we finish it at line number 7? I'm trying to find this. Okay. So we're going to make it line number 6, not 7 here.
Okay. You forgot a counter plus equal 1.
Yeah. But not for this. So I'm going to check this out here. All right. So at line number 6, we're at the end of the loop, and we're going to go back to line number 4 because we are in the repetition structure, and we are going to go back to line number 4 to check if the counter is still smaller than 3 or not. Is it? Yes, at line number 4. So the expression is true. Then go again. And what's going to happen? At line number 5, we're going to print another hello, right? At line number 5, we will print another hello. So next to hello, we will have another hello here, right? And then we're going to come to line number 6, which is the end of the loop. And later, after line number 6, we will go back to line number 4 again, because line number 6 is the end of the loop, right? Not 7. So we come back to line number 4. Don't check this part. Okay, let's take this here. All right. So we come back to line number 4 and we check the expression. Counter smaller than 3. Is it smaller than 3? Yes. So still true, and we go. And we're going to get in line number 5 and print another hello. Well, this is going to continue until forever. Why? Why until forever? Because counter value, as you can see, is 0 and it is never changed, right? And here we check in the expression if counter is smaller than 3. And counter is always going to be smaller than 3. The expression always will be true. And that's why we have to change, we have to update the counter value inside the loop. And this is going to happen by doing this. Counter plus equal, remember plus equal? 1. What is plus equal? This is the same with this. Counter equals counter plus 1. Okay, this is the same with this. So this means increase counter by 1. Now, if we have this, now this means change the value of counter when you make the repetition. Now let's see this analyze. Okay. All right. Now we're going to see this analyze here. Where this one, yes, we have counter plus equal 1, but it's not here, right? So I'm going to copy this part. Okay. Anyway, it's not. So this was the first exercise we did without updating the value of counter. So it's continued infinite. It repeated this part infinite because the counter value is not changed. Now we're going to change the counter value. This is how the program looks like. I didn't see this part in the first exercise. Sorry about that. So we can continue from here. Well, now we start with line number 1. Line number 1 has class main or public class main. And then at line number 2, we have the main method. And then we have at line number 3, the integer type variable counter, and its value is 0. So here we type 0 as the first value of counter. And after that, at line number 4, this is the beginning of the loop. Line number 4 is the beginning of the loop, while counter is smaller than 3. So there will be a loop, which, you know, you saw in the video, there was like a circle, and that circle always was repeating. But when it repeats, it checks for something. It checks or it asks a question. If counter is smaller than 3, go. So this is going to repeat every time. But when it repeats, it will ask this question. If counter is smaller than 3, or is counter smaller than 3? If yes, go. If no, stop. So counter is smaller than 3 because counter is 0. Then it will go and it will enter the loop at line number 5. System out println. So it's going to print hello at line number 5 here. And we're going to see this here. Hello with a space. And then it will continue with line number 6. Counter plus equal 1 means increase counter by 1. So counter will be 1. It was 0. It will increase by 1. And then at line number 7, we have the limit of the repetition. So we are at the end of the loop at line number 7. So we're going to come back at line number 4 after 7. And we come back to 4. We check the condition, or we ask the question, is counter smaller than 3? Well, yes, because counter is 1 and still smaller than 3. Then it will enter the loop at line number 5. Here, we are here, okay. Let's color this area. Okay, we're here now. So it will enter the loop. It will say go. And at line number 5, we will go inside the loop. System out println hello. We're going to print hello at line number 5. Here you can see the output is hello. And we're going to add another hello next to it. Actually, yes, next to it, because we have print, not println. But if we have it println like this, then it will go to the next line, right? At line number 6, here, we're here. At line number 6, we have counter plus equal 1, and this means increase counter by 1. Here we can see that counter becomes 2. Okay? And then at line number 7, we come to the end of the loop, and we're going to go back to the beginning of the loop here. Okay? And when we go back to the beginning of the loop at line number 4, we will check again if counter is smaller than 2. Is it? Yes. So the expression is true here at line number 4, and go. Go means enter the loop. So we are going to go on with line number 5. And at line number 5, what do we have? System out println or print hello. And we're going to here, we have hello as the output. we will add it to the output. It's going to be like that, hello. So we finished line number 5 too. And line number 6, we have counter plus equal 1, and counter variable is updated here, and it becomes 3, right? So we have now the condition not satisfied, but we're still in the loop. We have to finish the loop. We continue with line number 7. Here we are at the end of the loop, and the condition is not true, but we still are in the loop, so we have to come back at line number 4. So we come back to line number 4, and at line number 4, we check, is counter smaller than 3? Is it? No. So here we can see the result. It will say false and stop. What does it mean, stop? It means do not enter the loop, continue with the statement exactly after the loop. So skip this part. If the condition is not true, skip this part and continue with line number 8, okay? So we're going to do like that because the counter is not smaller than 3, it is equal to 3. After line number 4, at this step, we will jump to line number 8, right? And it says system out println at line number 8, done. So we're going to add done here. And there we go. Line number 8 is done too. After that, we will continue with line number 9, which is the end of main method here, main method. And then at line number 10, finally, we will finish the class, main class, at line number 10. Okay, so this was how we examine the question in loops. It's always better to make a table like that, but later, as you make examples, you may not make the table. You may make the algorithm in your mind, but at first, it's better to make a table like this. Now, let's run it and see the results. Let's see if we're correct or not. It has to print 3 hellos and a done. As you can see, exactly it does like that. 3 hellos and a done. Why 3 hellos? Well, simply, we have the condition here, counter smaller than 3. And counter starts with 0. So counter also here, we have the counter value updated by increasing by 1. So we're going to count counter 0, 1. So at 0, it prints 1. At 1, it prints another. And at 2, it prints another. But at 3, it's not going to print. It's not going to enter the loop. Finally, it will print done. Okay? And let's check another exercise. Okay, here, let me erase this part. What if we change hello to not hello, but counter? Okay. Here, instead of hello, I have written counter. Let's see what's going to happen. Okay, line number 1. There's nothing at line number 1. We have the class starting at 2. We have the main starting at 3. Okay, let's color this part. At line number 3, we start the counter variable and its value is 0. Okay, here I type it at line number 3. We can also color only these parts because, yeah. So at line number 3, counter variable has the first value. It is 0. Then at line number 4, well, here we have the loop. And we check the loop. If counter smaller than 3, yes, counter is 0 and it is smaller than 3. So we write the expression result here. True and go. Okay, at line number 4, we have this. At line number 5, because we can enter the loop because the expression is true. So we continue with line number 5. System out prints counter. So we're going to print the counter value. What's the counter value? It is 0, right? So we're going to print counter's value, which is 0, and the last screen is going to be like that. We are going to see the last screen here. And we will continue with line number 6, which is counter plus equal 1, and counter will become 1 here at line number 6, right? And after that, we have line number 7, which is the end of the loop. And we're going to come back to line number 4 when we reach line number 7, because we're in the loop. And at line number 7, we're going to check the expression here, while counter smaller than 3. Is it smaller than 3? Yes, 1 is the value of counter, and it is smaller than 3. Then we're going to say true, go. The expression is true, then go. Get in the loop. So we'll continue with line number 5. What do we have at line number 5? System out print counter. What was the value of counter? 1, the last value. Always we're going to use the last value. So the previous values are like that, okay? The previous values are that. We're always going to use the last values. So the last value of counter is 1, and we're going to print 1, right? Here. And this one is going to be added to the last screen. Is it going to be with space or without space? What do you think? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes. And
Okay, can you tell me, is there going to be a space or not, Kevin?
no.
I cannot hear you actually, but I think you said no.
No, I said no.
That's correct. There will not be any space because here when we say print counter, we don't have any space here. So if you don't put any space, it's not going to put space itself, okay? So 1 is going to be exactly next to 0, but well, it's going to be like this, 0, yeah, like this, at line number 5. And at line number 6, we again update the value of counter. So counter becomes 2. It was 1, it becomes 2 here. Then at line number 7, we are at the end of the loop here. And we come back to line number 4 because we are at the end of the loop. We come back to the beginning of the loop. So at line number 4, and we're going to check again. We're going to ask the question, is counter smaller than 3? Yes, because counter's last value is 2. So we're going to find the result in the expression, true, go, get in the loop. So we will continue with line number 5 again. And at line number 5, what we have system out print counter. And we're going to print the value of counter, which is the last value of counter, which is 2. And we're going to print 2 in the last output like that. So in the last output, we will have 0, 1, 2. And later we're going to continue with line number 6, which is counter plus equal 1. And that means we will update the counter value with 3, because it was 2 increased by 1, it becomes 3. And we will continue with line number 7, which is the end of the loop. And then we're going to come back to line number 4, which is the beginning of the loop, because we are at the end of the loop, okay? As you can see, we always repeat the loops. We start from 7, when we come back, we start from 4. When we come to line number 7, end of the loop, we come back to 4. When we come to line number 7, end of the loop, we come back to 4, beginning of the loop. When we come to 7, end of the loop, we come back to 4, okay? This is a repetition. We have to do it like that when we see while, do while, or for loops. And finally, we will check at line number 4 Is counter smaller than 3? Well, counter value is 3, and it's not actually smaller than 3. It is equal to 3. So we will say the expression is false. Then stop. What does it mean, stop? It means do not enter the loop. And it's not going to enter the loop, and it will continue exactly after the loop. So it will skip this part after line number 7, and it will continue with line number 8, just like that. Next statement after loop, which is 8. So at line number 8, we have system out println done, and that's why we're going to print done. So we will add this done here, and it's going to be like that. 0, 1, 2, done is going to be in the screen. And after line number 8, we have line closing of main method, and then we have the closing of the class, and we finish the class like that. Finally, we're going to see in the screen 0, 1, 2, done with exclamation mark. Let's try this. Okay, so instead of hello, we had counter, and here we had the exclamation mark. Okay, let's see. We will see 0, 1, 2, done exactly in the screen, just like that.